All right, guys, today we're going to talk about conspiracy theories. And this is more of a complex kind of a problem, but kind of what I'm trying to do with this channel is just give brief explanations of things. I might do longer videos later on that go more in depth, but I want to kind of just get these ideas across in like 15 minutes or less. Ideally, like 5 minutes. So, the word conspiracy, it has this sort of negative connotation to it, like as if like there's these evil people who are trying to destroy us or take over the world or enslave humanity, right? Or maybe they're just trying to gain as much power as possible and funnel all the wealth up to them and sort of corrupt the hierarchy of civilization such that they're at the top and it's impossible for other people to rise up that hierarchy and get to their position. So now the thing that's interesting about conspiracy that's always been interesting to me is I'm like, well, when Apple has a secret about like their new iPhone, it gets leaked, right? Or when like a new video game comes out, footage, like gameplay gets leaked, information gets leaked. And my question was always like, how, if these conspiracy theories exist, how are they never getting leaked? Right? Like there's no way that you could have something on such a broad scale and have only such a few people know about it, because in order to be effective in the world, you have to include, you have to take advantage of the synergistic effects of combining yourself with other people. And the idea that the other people that they're going to be combining their forces with are going to just be totally in alignment with them, and they're not going to fight and then leave and quit the group and then go tell everybody what they were doing and screw them over. Like the idea that these people are just somehow completely just able to prevent any secret information from leaving their inner circle, it never seemed probable to me. And that's why I never really took conspiracy theories serious at first. But I take them a little bit more seriously now, and I'll tell you why. So first I want to introduce this concept of society versus the individual, because we kind of view society as just kind of this, like just a word to describe a bunch of individuals. But the reality is that a society or a culture it's almost like it has a mind of its own. It's almost like it's its own evolutionary entity. So I'll give you an example. We all know that religion has proliferated all throughout the world and independently, right? So it's not like you can say, well, religion just came up in one place, it emerged in one place, and then it spread around the world. No, it emerged hundreds of thousands of times, probably, maybe even more than that, independently. And it seems like you can't really find a human civilization that wasn't somewhat religious or spiritual. It's just not really even a thing. And it makes you question, well, why are human beings so religious? Well, the answer is that there's evolutionary utility to it, right? Because if being religious was something that got people killed, got societies destroyed, then religion would be purged out of humanity over natural selection. And I'm not saying that religion doesn't kill people and destroy certain societies. It does. But let's take a little bit of a deeper look at it, right? So let's take this idea of heaven, for example. Okay. You have this belief in the culture, a society that's sort of, completely obsessed with this idea that God exists and that when they die, if they do the right thing, they're going to go to heaven. And so let's say that they're in a battle, a war with an atheist culture. Well, the atheist culture, let's start with the Christians, right? Or the religious group, whatever religion you want to talk about. How do you think they're going to fight in that war if they believe they're fighting for God? They're going to fight their ass. They're going to be willing to die. Why? Because this life isn't even real. It's just like a temporary dream that they're in. And after they die, they're going to go to heaven. And if they don't fight in the war, they're going to go to hell. So it's like, well, even though this life is, they want to live, it's not worth risking eternal damnation or sacrificing eternal paradise for this short, insignificant little blip on the cosmic timeline. And so those guys are going to fight hard. Now, if you look at the atheist culture, are they going to fight hard? Well, maybe, if they really believe in what they're fighting for, but it's really difficult to have the same amount of determination or commitment to a cause to where you're willing to die for it, you're willing to put your life on the line, you're willing to sacrifice your children even for that cause without being religious. And so what happened was, throughout history, is that religious societies beat out societies that weren't religious because the non-religious societies were never willing to make as many sacrifices in this life as the religious societies. And it's not that cut and dry, that's just an example. But the point is that so societies actually evolved to be religious. That's not the only benefit of a religion. There's a lot of benefits, and there's negatives too, but there's a lot of benefits. So you almost have this it's like this mass psychosis almost of like believing in something that's happens across an entire society, and then the entire society basically acts out these behavioral patterns that are associated with that belief. So it's almost like the God they believe in does exist because everyone's acting as if he does exist. And so it's like that abstract entity is manifesting itself in the physical world through people. Okay. And this is something that is not exclusive to religion either. This is how markets work, right? Like you have, it's just a bunch of people making a bunch of consumer decisions, and a bunch of corporations and companies competing for their money, and then you get this giant economy. But the economy is not. It's not just this accumulation of a bunch of individuals, people making decisions. It's actually its own entity that you can start to describe, right? And it's not like it's not like economies are a conspiracy theory. And it's not like religions are a conspiracy theory. There is no one. We always think of conspiracy theories as like this web, and there's this like central like evil spider in the middle of the web that's just like came up with the whole idea and is controlling everything. That's not the case with economies. That's not the case with religions. There is no one person that was responsible for it. It's just something that arises, a belief system, a pattern of behavior that emerged in a society. So, what are the implications of this? Well, the implications is that massive groups of people wait, there's one more thing to talk about, which is that these people aren't like aware necessarily of that they're acting out these religious ideas, that they're acting out these economical structures. They're just sort of kind of in their own world, doing their own thing, motivated by their own desires and the information that they were indoctrinated with as a child. So these individuals aren't aware of the bigger picture, of the whole like thing that's going on that they're acting out. Okay, so getting back to where I was going to take this point, conspiracy theories are, it's not that they don't exist, it's that they aren't generated by a person who's trying to take over the world. It's just a bunch of people acting out a conspiracy theory. And the reason why it never gets leaked is because nobody actually knows what they're acting out. There is no central person or central group of people that are orchestrating the whole thing. It's just that human beings are acting out conspiracy theories. Or they're acting out things that seem like they could be conspiracy theories. Right? And so the broader sort of implications of this is that we have to be very careful about what we're acting out. Because, you know, the world, you know, even if you look at an instance where it does seem like there was a central person who sort of orchestrated the whole catastrophe, like in Nazi Germany, for example. Talk about, it's like Hitler is the reason for the Holocaust. He's like that central person who's, you know, conspiring to take over the world. And that's true in a sense. It's more true than a lot of conspiracy theories, but at the same time, Hitler just acted as the mouthpiece of that abstract idea of taking over the world and getting rid of all the Jews. Hitler was just the charlatan that was what originally started to spread the idea. And there's always a charlatan is the original charlatan that starts to spread the idea. And maybe they're not even a charlatan, maybe they're doing it, sometimes they're not a charlatan because they don't even know what they're doing. Hitler kind of knew what he was doing. But even in a sense, at a higher level, he didn't really know what he was doing because he believed that what he was doing was ethical. So he was misguided. So he didn't even really know the forces that were at play within his own mind, his own psychology. And so what happened was this massive group of people acted out the Holocaust. And so it seems like, well, we have to get rid of all of these bad people, these corporations that are conspiring, and these, these evil charlatans and dictators like Hitler and Saddam Hussein, who are plotting to take over the world and destroy, kill innocent people, right? But really what we have to be watching is ourselves, because we are the ones that are acting out the catastrophes or the horrendous atrocities. We're the ones that do it. And it's kind of like the concept of voting, right? Like it's simultaneously true that your vote doesn't matter. Like one vote doesn't matter at all. But if everybody thinks that simultaneously, then it matters, because now it's millions of votes. And so what we have to do is everybody has to just go and do that's what this idea of like having your duty to vote, right? Because it's like everybody has to participate. And obviously there's some people who won't participate, but if enough people don't participate, then you have a problem. So, it's very similar with an idea like, the Holocaust, right? It's like if one person wants to do the Holocaust, it's not going to happen. You can't do it on your own. But if enough people are willing to carry out that horrendous atrocity, then now we have a problem, right? So the solution to conspiracy theories is to live properly, to live to, as someone like Jordan Peterson would say, to aim yourself towards the highest good and focus on yourself as an individual. Because you may be one individual who on your own can't affect the world, or can't start the Holocaust. But if enough people watch this video and they choose to aim towards the highest good, to live properly, well, that's the only way to stomp out evil.